All right, it is Sunday Morning Coffee, number 210. Thank you all for coming and visiting. This is Smith Welding and Restoration. I'm the ugly host, Adam Niffen. So, from here moving forward, I'm reformatting the channel. It's a slow process, but I chose to get boots on the ground and moving and change and add things as I go versus attempting to come up with this perfect plan, this perfect format, all my stock footage, and do the very best work I can because I'll never get there. It's always an evolution in process. So I wanted to get back to editing and posting useful footage, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it so far. Viewership because I've neglected this channel is obviously down. So who knows? Here's to this next year. That said, format within the channel obviously is changing. I'm going to work on a scheduling of events or scheduling of video releases. Also, Sunday Morning Coffee is going to change. And I'll still do my normal ramble rants, but I'm going to also comment on comments through the week on the videos. I'm going to answer questions that have been posed through the week on the videos. And with that, in conjunction with that, if any of you cats want to hear my take on a tool, a product, an item, whatnot, I'd be interested to hear what you guys have got for suggestions. You can drop them in comments. You can find me over on Facebook, Adam Niffen. I'm pretty easy to find. And tell me what interesting courses of discussion you'd like to see on here. And we'll just kind of take it from there. Again, I'm rebooting the channel slowly, but I'm rebooting it. I'm reformatting everything. So we've got something more viable. Shop rants and rambles. It gets cold. I become debilitated, apparently. When it's below zero outside, it doesn't matter. My body does not want to function. That said, already behind on projects, I get more off course. Having been nothing more than admin for the bulk of my daytime hours for over 2 years, not rusty, but I'm not as efficient as I once was. Going through the last year, shutting the shop down, everything that coalesced and came through since then until now, I've really just had a lot of the wind knocked out of my sails. I'm not efficient. I'm not as motivated. So my tool for that is I started off. I tried making these lists, and I'm going to get this list done. I'm going to get it all done today, and tomorrow's list I'm going to get that list done. And it didn't. All I did was beat myself up because I wasn't getting enough done. It was very disheartening. So now I make a list and I just check it off as I go. And when I run out of stuff, I make a new list. And that's how I'm operating at this point. That being said, I've actually made up some ground over the last week. Not specifically the direction I needed to make up ground, but I had to get something done. So I got out, just like with the channel. It's not the perfect plan. It's not the optimal use of all my hours, but it's moving forward, period. Slowly, grudgingly moving forward. And I got a bunch of front end parts for the Fury, put up in epoxy and painted gloss black. I got the hood and trunk lid for the Chevelle, undersides are finished. The hood is satin black as GM would have had it, and the deck lid is body color, base coat, clear coat, as the factory would have had it. And the tops are in 2 coats of epoxy ready for me to wet sand and top coat. And I intend to do this Chevelle in that fashion, piece at a time, orient it how it sits on the car, base coat, clear coat. That way, not just one piece. I'm not just going to take a door, but load the booth up and do smaller quantities. Instead of trying to assemble a car and do an overall paint job, I'm looking at this big hole, and something gets lost in translation there. If I'm focusing on parts, a series of pieces, it gets better results as far as finish comes. So we'll put the Chevelle together when we're all done. I'm going to look at it, and if I'm satisfied there, I'm going to continue on that course. If not, I will evolve a different direction. Sheet metal for the Le Mans. 72 Le Mans came in. I've got the sheet metal I need for the 66 Le Mans. As soon as the Chevelle is off the blocks, the 66 Le Mans comes in and starts getting the metal work done. 72 Le Mans, that one, it's not, it's going to be a better project for show. I will document it, put all those pictures up as I document it onto the Smith Welding Restoration Facebook page. And I will also be shooting footage through that process. I want to do a start to finish build. It'll be my first one in some time, and it'll be good. Shop hand, that's been zero fruition at this point. There's one potential, but I don't feel it's a amazing fit, so I'll keep digging. It's been ridiculous dealing with this problem I need to solve. We'll get there. Now on to Q&A or comments or whatnot. I had one gentleman ask about a video I put up a few years ago doing rocker panels on a 2000 or 97, I've done both on video, Ford truck. I'm going to preface with simply OE recommended procedures, always, always, always. You give me an older truck, older than 15 years old, let's say, I don't have a problem with sectioning rocker panels and inner rocker panels. I really don't have that. If it were an insurance job, period. It's just manufacturer's parts, OE recommendations only, because at that point I'm poised to do pre-loss condition. Bring it back to pre-loss condition. Rust repair is a little different. Body on frame is a lot different. The structure is in the frame, not in the body. So I don't feel I'm doing someone a disservice there when I'm patching up rust in that way. The question posed is pretty simple. You've got your outer rocker panel, your inner rocker panel, and a lot of these vehicles, a lot of these newer trucks have an intermediate panel that goes down between. Some manner of stiffener or support, or does it have that piece? I don't know. Are there diagrams with measurements and whatnot out there? I don't know. None that I've found, none, but I haven't really searched. If I'm cutting open a truck like that and I have to replace that intermediary panel, oftentimes I make it out of like thickness steel. I'll section in the inner rocker, of course, in the same fashion, and then I'll make those parts. And then the outer rocker, I'll get the part and section that in accordingly. So that's kind of how that works. But again, anything past, let's say, 05, they're getting into alloys and such that I don't have the equipment to deal with, so I don't. Unitized body, I won't. You're affecting structure at that point. You're affecting a lot of safety, and there's no such thing as better than factory on these new cars. My buddy Michael Murray asked on lead work, how do I decide? Is it customer preference? Is it, how do I decide with lead work? When to use it, how to use it, where to use it? First one is Harley. Anything Harley comes in, it will get repaired as good as possible. Repaired to the fullest extent of my capabilities. And then anything left that's not ready for prime and block will be leaded in, because Harleys reject plastic like an allergy. Even if used appropriately, I've seen it fail. So I won't put plastic in a Harley if I can at all ever help it. Harleys, there you go. That's the big one. Next is, if I'm looking at a car, I look at the relevance of lead in that repair. Did this car come factory with lead in it, or would that have been an error correct repair for it? Get the metal as straight as possible, finish the repair off accordingly. If it's just on a flat panel, I'll do the metal work and metal finishes as well as I can, and then I'll use a little bit of filler and prime it and block it. Lead goes back in where it came out factory, sail panels, or in the instance of correcting door jams, door gaps, high traffic areas. You got that door slamming. If it's plastic in there and you're correcting some gap issues, it'll chip away and it'll leave you with bigger problems. At least with lead, it'll chip the paint. You got to touch up the paint. You're not knocking out chunks of filler. And you can use lead to good adhesion on little areas where filler won't, like on a door edge. It won't work on a door edge. It just doesn't work that way. It'll come right off of there. So that's kind of my yardstick on how I determine lead, why I use the lead. Why do I prefer lead? That hasn't come up, but it will, I'm sure, at some point. I'm not going to say I prefer lead specifically versus a lead-free solder. I've never tried lead-free solder. It's something I can get in through the little sister company I'm assembling through Lost and Found Automotive. I've never used it, so I don't know. I don't have an opinion at this point. I learned lead because nobody does it. There's reasons for that, but I learned lead because nobody does it, and I wanted to know how it worked, and I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with how I deal with lead disposal and treatment and so forth, so that's kind of how that works. Other than that, I'm just I'm getting by day to day and trying to push forward. So I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to get this loading up. It's going to be available Saturday night or Sunday morning. Who knows? The internet out here is awful. When I'm loading off my phone, it takes hours and hours and hours. When I load footage off the computer in the house, whether I'm using Wi-Fi with the phone or not, but when I'm loading off the computer, it takes significantly less time. So that's kind of the hubbub for this week. I hope you all enjoyed it. Again, if you have a topic, a tool, a material, something you want discussed, drop it down below. Find me on Facebook. Those are the easiest. And I will keep doing what I do. You folks keep on doing what you do, and have a great week.